Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum. This is ASAD YAQUB. So let's take a start with true, false, not given. Okay, I don't need to explain it, you know it already. Let's jump to the questions. Question number 28. In the mid 20th century, now when they say mid 20th century, that means 1950. Okay, in the mid 20th century, there was little interest, now we underline that, in breaking the 4-minute mile. So 4-minute mile is the main topic of the paragraph or the passage. Now we are going to check if in the mid 20th century, now this is basically the clue word, it will take us to the passage where the answer is. Okay, now what we have to check, there was little interest. If there was little interest, then the answer is going to be true. If there was too much interest, then the answer is false. And by the way, they are going to reword it. And if there was, they don't tell us whether there was little interest or too much interest, then it is not given. So mid 20th century. Now we are going to look for mid 20th century. You can see here in the beginning I found the race to break the 4-minute mile reached a crescendo in the 1950s and became a major sporting challenge of the day. Major sporting challenge of the day, mid 20th century. At the turn of the 20th century, the world record had stood at about 4 minutes 10 seconds, but despite efforts around the globe, by 1950 the record remained intact. The press regularly stated that and all that stuff. Now they say, and became a major sporting challenge of the day. Now when it became the major sporting challenge of the day, then there wasn't little interest. If something is the major sporting challenge of the day, then there isn't little interest, then there is too much interest. One thing, okay? So the answer for this, because of this little interest, the answer for this is going to be false. I write it here. Right, I just tell you again, the race to break the 4-minute mile had reached crescendo. Reached a crescendo means the height in the 1950s and became a major sporting challenge of the day. Right, so from here we understand all this. Okay, let's move on to the next question. Question number 29. In the early 1950s, now whenever they say early 1950s, that means 51, 52, 53. The media promoted the idea, media, press, for that they might use the word press, media and all that, promoted the idea that nobody could run a mile in under 4 minutes. So if in early 1950s, that's the clue word, this sentence will take us where the answer is. And this is what we have to match and we'll find the answer. The media promoted the idea that nobody could run a mile in under 4 minutes. Now, if media promoted the idea that nobody could run a mile in under 4 minutes, then it's true. If media did not promote this idea, media promoted this idea like yes, people can run, then it's false, otherwise not given. Now come back to the passage. You can see 1952. By the way, numbers stand alone. So early 1950s and 1952. Now I'm going to read from here. By 1952, the record remained intact. The press, be alert. For media, they have used the word the press. Regularly stated. Now regularly stated means promoted the idea. Promoted the idea, and for that they are saying regularly stated. At the time that man had reached his athletic limits, that room for improvement was minimum. Means now that's the athletic limit and there is no room for improvement in that. So in the early 1950s, the media promoted the idea that nobody could run a mile in under 4 minutes. Yes, exactly. How? The press regularly stated that time that man had reached his athletic limit, the room for improvement was minimal. Okay, so the answer to question number 29 is true. Clear? This is how first you need to find the clue word. Clue word will take you where the answer can be, and after finding the clue word you got to read carefully and then you find the answer. Question number 30. In 1980, Vladimir Selnikov, now 1980 is the clue word here by the way. Vladimir Selnikov swam 1500 meters. Now this is very important, in less than 15 minutes. Now less than 15 minutes can be anything. 14 minutes 50 seconds, 14 minutes 55 seconds, anything less than 15 minutes. So first we scan 1980, then we find Vladimir Selnikov, then we find whether he swam 1500 meters in less than 15 minutes. If he did, it's true. If he didn't, it took him more than 15 minutes, then it's false. Otherwise, if they don't tell us whether less than 15 minutes or not, then it is not given. So let's find, see that I told you numbers stand alone. It's easy to locate numbers. Okay, I found it. Now I'm going to start reading it from here. A very similar achievement is that of a less well-known Russian swimmer, Vladimir Selnikov, who in 1980 became the first man to break 15 minutes for 1500 meters. To break 15 minutes, very important. How? In order to break 15 minutes, he had to do it in less than 15 minutes. Now guys, over here they say less than 15 minutes. Less than 15 minutes means actually to break 15 minutes means he did 1500 meters in less than 15 minutes. That's why he broke the record. So 1980, Vladimir Selnikov swam 1500 meters in less than 15 minutes. Yes, that's right. The answer is true. Is that clear? Good. Let's go on. Question number 31. John Landy. Now, this is your clue word. And Roger Bannister. Again, another clue word. John Landy and Roger Bannister were professional sportsmen. Okay, now listen carefully. If John Landy and Roger Bannister both were professional sportsmen, it's true. If they were amateur, or they had this sports as a hobby, not as a profession, okay, so then it's going to be false. If they were not professionals, if they were amateur or any other word they use, then it's going to be false. And if they don't tell us whether John Landy and Roger Bannister were professional or not, then it is not given. Now let's scan John Landy. I found Landy here. So part of the appeal of athletes such as Bannister and Landy is linked to amateur environment. Now, if you don't know good vocabulary, you can never do it. Part of the appeal of athletes such as Bannister and Landy is linked to the amateur environment. Amateur environment means non-professional environment. They had this as a hobby. Now, what's the question? John Landy and Roger Bannister were professional? No. They came from amateur environment. Amateur means non-professional. Hence, the answer is false. Clear? See guys, I'm doing it so comfortably, so easily. So once you follow the tips and techniques, you can do it quite comfortably as well. Question number 32. Bannister's record was broken within 3 years. All right. So if Bannister's record was broken, that's fine. But within 3 years, it's true. If it is more than 3 years, then it is false. And if they only tell you this part, Bannister's record was broken, but the number of years are not mentioned, then it is not given. Clear? Now let's just see. For both men, running was an aside to the real matters. Okay, again they say something more. Which they competed For both men, running was an aside to the real matters of life and they received no monetary reward. So they were amateurs. And as evidence of the temporal nature of all records, Bannister's record has since been reduced. It means broken. What's the question? Bannister's record was broken. Alright, it was broken. So they say Bannister's record has since been reduced. So until here, this is true. But this is going to decide whether it is false or not given. Okay, this is very, very important. So Bannister's record has since been reduced by a further 17 seconds. But the 4-minute mile remains a landmark in sporting history. There is no mention of within 3 years, less than 3 years, more than 3 years. That is why the answer to 32 is not given. Is that clear? Exactly. So this is how you need to deal with that. This is not a question, it's just exercise question. So anyways, this is the best way to deal with true, false, not given. All the best. I also teach IELTS online. If you want to join my online IELTS classes, my personal number is this plus 92, then don't add 0, 94665333. You can contact me on this number. All the best guys. Take care. Allah Hafiz.